It's an incredible thing to see how Hashem guides you to be of service to another Jew. To see how Hashem puts you in the right place in the right time, and uniquely, because of who you are, because of what's going on in your life, you see how Hashem puts you in touch with someone else, and you realize this is a mission Hashem has given you. It's a very, very special feeling. When I went to New York last week Thursday, I was walking down the aisle of the airplane, and I see this gentleman who. What was the occasion? If it's not confidential. It's not relevant. Oh, I thought it was public. Okay. I went for my nephew's bar mitzvah. Oh, okay. I thought it was something. Well, you know what, Yosef? I thought I went for one reason, but maybe that's not why I went. Okay, so anyway, so I was walking down the aisle of the airplane, and I see someone that maybe looks Jewish, not that Jewish, but maybe. And the guy, sir, you're not Jewish, are you? And he says, nobody thinks I'm Jewish. Why'd you ask me if I'm Jewish? Nobody ever asks me if I'm Jewish. And I'm thinking that is like the most Jewish answer. Yeah. So he says, my wife just died yesterday, and I would like. I was asking him if he wants to put on tefillin. He says, I definitely want to put on tefillin. His wife. He asked you? No, I asked him. His wife is a famous actress. You may have heard of her. Her name is Michelle Trachtenberg. You saying Kaddish for her? No. Robin called you. What? You saying Kaddish for her? Yes. Somebody else called me. Robin? Robin Garbus? No. Okay. Anyway, so it was so providential, right? That I'm and this exact moment in his life, he needed to connect. On our flight also, we had the Vizhnitzer Rebbe. The Vizhnitzer Rebbe was also on our flight. And boy, those guys are a class act. When we got to New York and JFK at midnight, he was. They greeted us at the airport with at least 20 of them. They brought his washing cup. They brought his stender, his chair, his table. Anyways, even though I wasn't invited to first class, I wanted to ask him about a question, about a story that I heard. The story I heard was, I think I shared the story with you. The story I heard was that, very briefly, was that there was a group of Vizhnitzer Chassidim, and they were very distraught because there was this guy who opened up a store right next to their synagogue, and was ruining the whole ambience of their Friday night experience, because they finished davening and they walked outside and the music was blaring. Maybe they heard it inside the synagogue. And the way I heard the story was that they went to the Vizhnitzer Rebbe and they asked the Vizhnitzer Rebbe, what should we do about this guy who is ruining the neighborhood? The same one or his father? So I asked him. Oh. So the way I heard the story, I asked him, is that the Vizhnitzer Rebbe said, well, did you try to speak to him? And he said, we tried to speak to him, but he's not interested. So the Vizhnitzer Rebbe asked this chassid of his, who was disturbed by the music and the lights of this desecration of Shabbos right next to their synagogue. He asked him, do you love this guy who desecrates, this guy who has a store? Do you love the man with the store? He says, no, I hate the guy with the store. So he says, why do you hate the guy with the store? He said, I hate the guy with the store because he desecrates Shabbos. So Vizhnitzer Rebbe asked him, why do you think that you hate the guy because he desecrates Shabbos? Maybe he desecrates Shabbos because you hate him. That's what he said. Maybe the reason he desecrates Shabbos is because you hate him. So what should I do? He said you should go there on Friday night and you should wish him well and you should show him that you mean it and give him a lot of warmth and love from your heart, for real, one Jew to another. So the first Shabbos he went there, the guy threw him out and what do you mean you love me? Leave me alone. But he was sincere and he was consistent and it reached his heart, and after 6 months this guy with the store, not only did he close the store on Friday night, he himself started keeping Shabbos. That's a story I heard. So I asked him about the story. He said never heard the story, but he told me another story. That his grandfather was called the Avos Yisrael. That was his name. That was his brand. And the Abbas Yisrael, he lived in a town because of World War II. He had to escape. He lived in a town where everybody hated him. He lived in a town where people were very Hasidically challenged, and they all hated him. So he said that he enjoyed the challenge of everybody hating him, because since everyone hated him, he had to bring out in himself love for everyone to make them like him. Because when you love someone, the Torah says, it makes people love you back. The feelings you have in your heart, if you love someone, the Torah says, it will bring positive feelings in the other person. That's the story he said. Interesting story. And it was, I think it's very in sync with tonight. Tonight is the birthday of Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu, and is in every generation there's someone like Moses. In our generation, we have our Rabbi, the Moses of the generation, and his light came into the world today, in the 7th of Adar, and every year on this day, this light comes into the world again, the same way it did the first time, but not just the same way it did the first time, but even in greater intensity, with something even greater power than ever was before. So tonight is the soul of Moses descends in the world, the light of Moses comes in the world and shines, and there's more mazel. The Jewish people have more mazel, more good fortune tonight because of Moses' birthday. I know what you're thinking about when you hear about more mazel. You're thinking about scratch tickets, right? That's what I know. A lot of members of my family go straight to scratch tickets when they have more mazel. That's what else are you going to do with more mazel? Scratch tickets. Anyways, yeah, there are probably better things to do with it. But the idea of Moses' mazel shining, Moses' mazel also means the word mazel. But Beryl, you want to check if the fan? Thank you.
Well, it doesn't have a battery.
Oh, that's what the problem is. Okay. So, anyways, the point is that on this day, it's not only. Is there another hamburger for our friend over here? It's extra hamburger. Okay, good. How about? Good to see you. Welcome. A couple of weeks since we got together. So on this day, it's not just that Moses has his soul's light came to the world, but the Torah says when Moses was born, the house he was in was full of light. And the house he was in is a metaphor not just for the house, the physical house, but as a metaphor for the whole world. And that light is the light of the truth, light of the Torah, and it's an eternal light. And that's when every generation there is someone with Moses' soul, because Moses' light goes on, it's eternal, it's true, it's in all places, all times, it doesn't cease to be having an impact in the physical world. So I think that this revelation of light, of the soul of Moses, that we all are impacted by, everyone in their own way, we're all touched by the soul of Moses tonight. I think that this is very relevant to a point about Ahavas Yisrael, about love for a fellow Jew. It says that the Moses' face shined with light, and the light of Moses' face was the light of sacrifice for Hashem, sacrifice for a fellow Jew. That's the light that shined in his face. And the truth is, today we see that light of Moses shining in every Jew, because since October 7th, there's been this huge sense of unity among the Jewish people, soldiers of all types and stripes, all kinds of Jews getting together to protect the Jewish people giving to the soldiers, people giving to each other. The hostages being released, despite the fact that, unfortunately, 80% of the terrorists that are released go back to doing acts of terror, more than 80%. So even though it's not a just peaches and cream, but nevertheless the joy that all the Jewish people have in one Jew being released, it's something incredible. The entire Jewish people, everybody, a hostage was released. It touches every single Jew in the world. It's real. We know this not from others. We know this from ourselves. When we saw a Jew was released, it warmed our hearts. It made us cry. It made us excited. So we're seeing this kind of love and unity in an amazing way. But I think that we need to find a way to bring this out not only when there's tragedy, God forbid, but without the tragedy. And there's something this week's Torah portion that gives us some insight of what that looks like and how we're supposed to do this. So this week, the Torah talks about the various garments that the Kohen Gadol would wear, the high priest would wear.
Rabbi, there's something in this week's Torah portion that
will give us insight in the being able to love each other without any external causes. Okay, so this week we read about many garments of the high priest. One of them was the apron. The apron had 2 stones on the shoulder of the Kohen Gadol. On each stone it had the name of 6 of the tribes. And the Kohen Gadol also wore a breastplate. The breastplate had 12 stones, 12 different colors. Each stone had a name of another tribe. And he would carry these stones into the Holy of Holies, into the temple.
12 stones?
12 stones in the breastplate, 2 stones on the apron's shoulder straps. And there were the 6 names on each stone, and then there was 12 names on the 12 stones. So the question is, why do we need to have 2 different mentions of the Jewish people in the Holy of Holies? He wears the 2 stones which already have all 12 names of the Jewish people. He has to have them again on his breastplate, again, all 12 names of the Jewish people, 12 names of the tribes. Why twice? Why was he chosen to wear the apron? What was so good about Aaron?
On his shoulder, all the names?
Yeah. What was so good about Aaron, that Rabbi David's grandfather, that of all of our grandfathers, his grandfather was the one that was chosen to do this? What was so special about him that he was one chosen to bring this memory of the Jewish people, which caused atonement and forgiveness? And what was so good about him? What was so special about him? Something very fascinating.
He can sew?
The reason he is, although it seems like the worst day in the life of Aaron, the day of the creation of the golden calf, because it was he who actually facilitated it. What happened was, as you all know the story, when the Jewish people saw that Moses wasn't returning, they all went to Hur. They said, Hur, you're pretty up there, you're a close relative of Moses, we want you to create a new God for us. Hur's like, a new God? There's only one God. So what did the Jewish people do? They killed him. So then they went to Aaron. Aaron, you got to make a new God. We lost Moses. We need another God. Can you make us a new God? You're Moses' brother. You're probably good at this. So what does Aaron do? Aaron doesn't want them to do this right away, but it's more than that. Here's a deeper story that you may not have heard before, which I didn't hear before. Talmud says that Aaron knew, it says in the Torah, if a Kohen and a prophet are killed in the sanctuary of God, then the Jewish people go into exile immediately. So they already killed the prophet of Hashem Hur. And now if they would kill Aaron, if they would kill him, if he would resist and say, I'm not going to do this, they're going to kill him, what would happen if they killed him? All the Jewish people go into exile. So he didn't want them to go into exile. So what do you do? Don't try this at home, folks. But this is what he did. He said, I'm going to sin. I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to try to prevent it, but I'm going to go in the direction they want me to go and create an idol, because that way, if I make the idol, it'll be my fault, and they won't get hurt. They won't go into exile. So he was ready to hurt himself. Throughout history, we have many Jews who have hurt themselves and given their lives for the sake of the Jewish people, to give them their bodies. This is different. Aaron gave his soul. Why not his body? He gave the soul.
So is this similar to Moshe Rabbeinu taking it upon himself to shatter those?
Yeah.
Somewhat similar. Huh?
Similar idea, yeah. Yeah, this is the light of Moses in Aaron, yeah. So Aaron says, I'm going to first he told them, get your wife's rings, and then we'll make the golden calf. And he knew, no Jewish lady is going to give away her earrings for the sake of a golden calf. Are you kidding? And then, but what did the husbands do? They tore the earrings off their wives. Mishra Goyim. Can you imagine the Shalom Bayis problems this caused later? And you know what you did with my earrings? You made a golden calf and got us all in trouble. What were you even thinking? Anyways, but And Aaron delayed this, I'll wait till tomorrow. Anyways, he tried to prevent it and to stop it, but he went along with it in order to prevent a catastrophe of the Jewish people being sent into exile. So he was ready to hurt himself. We think of dying physically or physical pain. It's pretty scary, right? You think about people, you've all heard of different things that happened to people who were tortured for the sake of their Jewishness. Pretty scary stuff. But Aaron was hurting his soul. For a tzaddik, hurting his soul is far more horrifying, far more painful than it is for us to like God forbid, I think of cutting off a finger or whatever. It's painful. But for a tzaddik, idolatry is a far more greater pain, and yet he was ready to do this to protect the Jewish people. So therefore,
it's kind of like what Rabbi is saying. Also.
Yes, very similar. This is the meaning of the verse. Ahavta tzedek. You've loved righteousness. The Talmud says, you've loved tzaddik, you love to make my people righteous in my eyes. And therefore, vatasim resha, and you put upon yourself guilt. Therefore, therefore you were chosen to have more oil, more joyous oil than everyone else. The reason only he was chosen to atone for the Jewish people was because he accepted upon himself this iniquity to protect it. So this is what happens. This week's Torah portion, Moses tells Aaron, come closer to the altar. What does Aaron say? Aaron's embarrassed. He's full of shame. And me? I'm going to be the one to atone for the Jewish people? So the words of the Torah are, Moses says, why are you embarrassed? This is why you were chosen. Baal Shem Tov says, why are you embarrassed? This is why you were chosen means the reason you were chosen is because you were embarrassed. Why aren't you coming close to the altar? Because you're embarrassed is why you were chosen. Instead of Aaron feeling the sense of boastfulness, like I'm the guy who's chosen, instead of him being like the coolest guy in town, I'm the Kohen. Instead, Aaron was full of shame for what he had done. And Moses told him, because you're full of shame, that's why you were chosen. What does that mean? The reason why he was able... Any hamburgers left? Okay, good.
Not going to eat?
No, there's another gentleman here. The reason why...
What about you?
I'm good. The reason why he was the one to wear the apron, it says, was a special... The Talmud says the apron was given to us to atone for idolatry. Who was the one that's able to atone for the Jewish people? Who was the one who was able to carry their sins? Aaron. Because he cared about them so much, and he gave of himself so much, that's why he was chosen. That's why Aaron was able to wear the apron. So now, we to understand also... Okay, let's just check something. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so we followed that first point, right? That's why he wore the apron. He could atone to the Jewish people because of he exhibited his love for the Jewish people. But I'm talking too much. We're saying L'chaim a little bit. We're singing Diggin, yeah? No. Yes.
So let me straight.
Yeah.
Ayehi bimei Achashverosh, Achashverosh, Ayehi bimei Achashverosh, Oh Achashverosh, Hamelech me'einu v'yakosh, Hamelech Duviyakosh, V'yasrimu me'yamidina sheva. Baruch. You know, it's Nathan's birthday tonight.
Yes, I'm very
Well,
well
it was
aware.
yesterday.
Just getting at 4.
It ended.
Still connected. Doesn't end. The night, Nathan, every sacrifice that was brought by day was eaten the night after. So the night after the Yontiv is connected to the Yontiv. So today is more your birthday than last night. Today is the full energy of your birthday tonight. So let's understand why there need to be. Our question we asked before about the 2 stones and the 12 stones. Well, and let's understand why Aaron was chosen to wear. Why was he the one chosen to wear the breastplate? Torah says that when Moses was chosen to redeem the Jewish people, what did Moses react? My brother's going to be jealous. You're making me the leader of the Jewish people? For sure my brother's going to be jealous. For sure. So God said, not only will not be jealous, but he will see you and will be happy in his heart. Hashem said that Aaron had this special power. In Hebrew there's a word, lefargain. There's no such word in English because we don't know what this means in America. Lefargain means that you sincerely celebrate another person's goodness. You sincerely celebrate another person's achievement.
Take delight in it.
You take delight in it. It's not that you're kind to someone. You're kind to somebody, so then you have something they don't have. You give it to them. You feel like you're a little bit better than them. I have this. I gave you to you. So I'm a little better than you. Look at what I did for you. Yeah. That's kindness. But lefargain means that it's not about you. There's nothing to do with you. Your ego is not part of it. Lefargain means that you're just looking at the other person's goodness. That you are just celebrating their happiness, their goodness, their achievement. That's what lefargain means. And people who have that quality, it's different. They live different. They breathe different air. They live a different life. It's a tell you a ma'aseh. We all need this. There was a Jew who was a very prominent Torah scholar. I'm sure many of you have heard of him. His name was Isser Zalman Meltzer. Isser Zalman, very prominent in the yeshiva world. He for one of his sefarim called Evan Azel, and for the yeshiva that he started. When he was a child, he was studying in yeshiva in Volozhin, but he was a bit of an outcast in Volozhin. Why? Because every other boy had nice clothing. That's a really nice fest. He had their nice clothing. And he had dirty, worn clothing. And local clothing to change into. So all he had was dirty, worn clothing. Shmatas. So he was going to leave the yeshiva. People were making fun of him, but he just felt out of place in the yeshiva because he had worn dirty, worn clothing. And he decided before he leaves the yeshiva, he's going to go attend a class of the head of the yeshiva. He goes to the class, and okay, that was nice, I'm leaving. And a guy goes over to him, and he says, Rosh Yeshiva, the head of the yeshiva, he never gives anybody any compliments, really, unless he really is impressed. He said that the new boy, meaning you asked a question in the class that only a super genius could possibly ask this question. Only an amazing genius could ask such a question. So this boy is like, you know what? Maybe I'm the guy. Maybe I could do this. And he put his stuff back into his dorm wherever he stayed, and he went on to become a very great Torah giant. And he went to Israel years later, decades later, and the first person he wanted to speak to in Israel was like, I need to speak to Zelig Ruvain. Zelig Ruvain was a prominent Torah scholar. Why do you want to speak to Zelig Ruvain? He says, Zelig Ruvain, you remember me? No, I don't remember you. Zelig Ruvain, you saved my life. How did I save your life? What are you talking about? You were the guy who told me how the head of yeshiva complimented me. You were the one who told this to me. So we all could use a positive word of encouragement. We all could use that. And this was the reason why Aaron wore the choshen, he wore the breastplate. Why wear the breastplate? Because the breastplate was on the heart of Aaron. He had this power of completely having zero ego and celebrating his brother's rise to leadership.
Okay,
Now,
I think you said that it was on the heart. That made that
the
home point. That just brought the point home.
He had this unique heart, right? So let's talk about now the difference between these two things. The apron, where the shoulders are about your back. The breastplate is on your heart. It's about. There are two different levels in connection to Hashem. There's the back-to-back thing. There's like just doing things in a sleepy way. You're just learning. You're davening. You're keeping kosher. You're keeping Shabbos. But it's all farshlofen. You're just doing it because you did it yesterday. You did it the day before. It's farshlofen. But then there is another way where you're alive in what you're doing. In this week's Shabbos, we're adding another Torah portion called Parsha Zachar, remembering what Amalek did to us. What does Amalek do to us? Amalek tries to make us cold. The fact that Torah tells us that Amalek tries to make us cold means that naturally we're warm, we're excited, we have passion, we're Jewish. And Amalek tries to take it away. How? He asks, he makes you have doubts. Is it really true? Does Hashem really care? Does it really matter? So the idea of the breastplate is that you give Hashem your fire in what you're doing. And that's the reason why in the apron there were all the names of the Jewish people on 2 stones. And all the stones were the same. But in the breastplate, there were 12 different colored stones. What does that mean? The 12 different colored stones means everybody has their own way of hacking to Hashem. Everyone has their own way of doing it. In action, in the back, in the apron, in the way we just get stuff done. We all do the same things. Some people eat this kind of kosher, they eat that kind of kosher. By the way, you know Oreos just got under the OU?
Yeah.
Amazing. So,
Mashiach's coming.
and they also pass Yisrael. They pass Yisrael too?
Really?
I don't know if they pass Yisrael. They pass Yisrael? I'm asking.
Isn't it dairy though?
It's definitely kosher, and it's definitely
Oreo cookies.
Oreo cookies.
Just became kosher.
Yeah. I know they're passed through a Chol Yisrael. I just know that my sister works for OU, and there's a big celebration at OU. Anyways, so let's go further. So
We need to see Oreo business now go up like 20%.
By the stocks.
either way,
Insider trading.
so we're all the same in our actions. We put on tefillin, right, or more or less the same. But inside the way we do stuff, and inside what we put in it, the feelings we put in it is all different. So the idea of the breastplate has different colored stones. Because the breastplate is about the heart of the Jew. It's about your individual passion, what you're doing. And your style, and your way. You're all coming to daven, and we're praying from the same siddur. But Yankel is davening because he's asking for someone for parnasa. And Shmerel is davening because he got insulted by, and Laser, everyone's doing something else in the siddur. Everyone's doing something else in the siddur. We're all standing in the same room, we're all shuckling, but everybody's doing something else completely. This is the idea of the different colored stones. The different colored stones means that everybody has their own way. And this is, Chaim Rebelli. This is the unique gift of Aaron, that Aaron was able to lefargain, to completely, in not just externally to act with unity to the Jewish people, like the apron, but to really feel the goodness on their person. I want to tell you, Yosef, pay attention for a
Very
second.
important addition. The students of Rabbi Akiva, even though they were all tzaddikim, they had their unique ways, so they did respect each other. What was special about Aaron is that, the 12 Shabbatim are different, but unlike the students of Rabbi Akiva, he said, you know what, all you guys are special.
Right.
If I may.
And let me add more to that also. That the idea of lefargain means that you actually are celebrating another person's goodness.
Forget it to encourage.
To encourage, right? Not just because very good. Thank you for saying that. Not just to feel from another person's goodness, but to mouth it, to say a compliment to somebody, to say a kind word to somebody, to actually say it, not just to feel it, to say it.
Rabbi,
Hold on, Yosef.
You
know it.
Are you giving a share or is he giving
No,
a
I'm
share?
adding comments. Appropriately.
Okay. Questions and comments after the fact.
They're valuable comments. Just we need it at the right time. We're almost ready. So the idea is like this. The idea is.
Doctor, if you become the rabbi,
Well,
you
okay.
become the doctor and give
No,
good.
I love the rabbi so much.
Nice, Rabbi.
You continue to be the doctor.
You want to be Rabbi or you want to be doctor?
There was a Jew
Yeah, don't give me the
150 years ago in a place called Bamberg. There was a Jew named Yitzchak David. I'm sorry, not in Bamberg. Where was he? In Germany. I don't remember which city. There's a Jew named Yitzchak David Halevi Bamberger. He was a rabbi in his shul, and in this Yitzchak David Halevi Bamberger, 150 years ago, there was the Enlightenment movement was very rampant then. People who felt like be a Jew in the home and be a man in the street, and be like everybody else, assimilate. That was very rampant. That thought, that philosophy. And there's one Jew, Yankel, he fell for it and he left his Jewishness. But one day it was his father's yard site, and he realized it's his father's yard site. He's like, I'm gonna go to shul. I'm gonna go to shul. I've been in shul in years, but it's my father's yard. I'm gonna go to shul. He goes in the shul, and he opens a siddur, Okay, I'm doing this. And he takes out a sit and he starts saying, and he says Kaddish. And the rabbi goes over to him after the davening. He says, the way you said that Kaddish, every word so clear. Every word you said in the Kaddish with the right tune, the way you said it, and the way you're into it, that was really, really special. The rabbi didn't say with any agenda, without any pretext, just a sincere, real compliment to this guy. The guy left the shul, and he wanted to okay, that was nice, and forget about it and move on. But he couldn't shake that. That was a unique, special thing that the rabbi did for him, and he made him come back to the shul a few months later. Today, there are 5,000 descendants of this man, who are. This guy married a frum woman, and Baruch Hashem, they have 5,000 grandchildren, great grandchildren. So the word is, we don't know who needs a kind word. In the month of Adar, it says it was to add in joy. Adding in joy means that you look for ways to make people happy. That means ordinarily a father may say a stern word to somebody, to his child, because he wants to put him in the right journey, or in the right position. But now it's a time not to use stern words. Now it's a time to simply say good things to people. I don't want to say details. Whoever remembers. Whoever doesn't remember, better you don't remember. There were two guys in our shul that were always fighting with each other. They always would insult each other. They always would say terrible things to each other for no reason. And I knew it was for no reason. Everyone knew it was for no reason. The only ones that didn't know it was for no reason were the two guys. Yankel and Shmerel were sure. Yankel was sure that Shmerel was like as a Nazi, and Shmerel was sure that Yankel was from Hamas. And they were always, they slooped at each other. They had to go to the two ends of this big shul because their enmity was so strong. And one Shabbos I decided this is a Shabbos of Ghostbusters. Yankel is ghosting Shmerel, and Shmerel is ghosting Yankel. This Shabbos, who are you going to call when something strange in the neighborhood? It's Ghostbusters. So I said, Yankel, you're going to sponsor the Kiddush, really, in honor of Shmerel's birthday. Yankel, you're going to sponsor the Kiddush in honor of Shmerel's birthday. So Yankel's like, you're kidding, Rabbi. Me in honor of Shmerel? Yeah, I'm kidding. Are you going to do it? He's like, okay. As soon as the newsletter came out, Shmerel called up Yankel. Wow, that really touched me. Thank you so much. And I promised, and they were crying. They were crying, and all of a sudden the big enmity between them, it was gone. It was gone. It is gone. It never existed. Wow. It never existed. So I want to say that this idea of lefargen, as Zohar says, to say a kind word, to look for a way to say a kind word, it not just will change other people, it also changes you. Why does it change you? It changes you because you're living with goodness. You're living with the goodness of another person. I want to say it's not kindness. It's not about making that person feel good only. It's about seeing their good. Celebrating their good. Some people are just good at. Some people just they live that way. Some people live with other people's goodness. Some people have a hard time with it. But this is. If you do this, I'm telling you, it will change everything in your life. It's a secret to life. Wow. Not so easy to do it because it changes everything. It brings Mashiach. But this is the thing. Okay, one more last thing. I'll let you guys go. There was a Jew, Rabbi Alevi. I just saw him when I was in Crown Heights. He told me that there's a Jew in 770. When I was a yeshiva student, I'll change his name because Zohar knows what I'm talking about. So if I describe him, Zohar still know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I'll call him Beryl. Beryl was always drunk. Beryl had this eye patch, and he was always drunk, and he was drunk, and he's a very, very intelligent guy though. Anyway, so one Shavuos, and everyone's leaving 770, leaving the Rebbe's main shul, thousands of people coming out with their holiday fine clothing, and everyone's celebrating, everyone's in a good mood, they're going home to have their dairy meal, to have a great meal on Shavuos, everyone's excited except for this poor guy, Beryl. The lonely guy is alone. He has all kinds of physical pain and he is destitute. And he calls on my friend Rafi. He says, Rafi, Ezeu Ashir. Who is rich, Rafi? Who is rich? Rafi says, whoever is happy with what he has. So Shmerel says, no. Who is rich? Whoever is happy with what he has. Not happy with what you have. Happy with what the other person has. That's rich. If you're able to celebrate another person's their goodness, this guy just got a Maserati. Wow, I'm so happy for him. That's the guy who's rich. People are always getting something good. If you're able to walk around with a good eye and to celebrate another person's goodness, you're living with Adar. You're living with Moshe Rabbeinu. You're living with Mashiach, and you've it's a checkmate on the exile. It's the way to bring Mashiach. L'chaim uracha. Yes, Rabbi Yosef.
Yeah, Rabbi, I didn't get the point. I get the point that that he had 12 Shabbatim on his heart. That means he had love for them with his heart. I don't get the point about him carrying the names on his shoulders. What the significance?
The difference between the apron and the breastplate is the apron represents action, external action to Hashem. The breastplate represents a deep love in what you're doing, emotion, a deep excitement in what you're doing. So every Jew is the same in regarding the action, but everyone's different the way they put their passion to do in their Judaism. So that's the meaning of the ephod, the apron, where it's all the names are together. All the names are together on the stones, and all the names are in different places on their breastplate. 12 different colored stones, because everyone has their own color of doing things. If we're talking about Yosef, the way Yosef's hands are, your hands are like my hands. They were both put on film. So what you're doing when you put on film, it's a different color. It's a different color. Different color. So Aaron, he uniquely was able to connect and to see the goodness of the Jewish people and give of himself externally to the Jewish people. Yeah. Not just externally, but not just externally to give of himself, but lefargain. Lefargain means to completely divest of his ego and completely celebrate the other person. Could you imagine this? Could you picture lefargain? Could you picture? I mean, I know some people when I'm not in the mood of davening, I could picture people that I know how to daven. At least they look the way they daven. You could say these guys are talking to Hashem. So if I'm in the mood of davening, I picture people that are able to get there, and that helps me daven. When I'm not able to lefargain, to celebrate another person, I just think of people that are like that. I know someone, not going to say what it is. Whenever, what do you say when someone does you a favor? What do you say?
Thank you.
Thank you. What do they say?
You're welcome.
You're welcome. This person says something else. You know, if you go away tonight with one thing, I'll tell you what you should answer. It will change you. It will change them. You know what you should say? My pleasure. My pleasure.
Oh, good one.
You're welcome. Doesn't really mean anything. It means like, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? It didn't hurt me. You're welcome means it didn't hurt me. It didn't hurt me. You bring your dog on my lawn again. Whatever. As long as you have that bag, it's okay. My pleasure. My pleasure means I'm excited about this. I'm excited to give you, not because, not kindness. It's I'm excited about you. I see good in you. My pleasure to give. L'chaim uracha.